Today's guest is Ellie Arnold, singer, songwriter, dancer, and powerhouse performer, ranked top 10 in the world by IDO. She blends pop energy with bold choreography and fearless artistry. Turn it up. Our conversation with Ellie Arnold starts now. This program is part of the Scene Projects Podcast Network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are. Well, welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is Ellie Arnold. Ellie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so stoked.
Yeah, this is great. I know you're a busy gal, as we can hear by your intro there. You got a lot of stuff going on now, but before we get into that, I'd love to give you the floor here and give us a little bit of your backstory.
Yeah, for sure. Both of my parents were professional dancers their whole lives, and they started a dance studio. And I was originally a competitive dancer from birth, pretty much, but I always wrote songs. So my goal with moving to Nashville and starting up this music career was to be able to put dancing and singing all together. So when I perform, it's a full-blown production show. So yeah, I'm doing that.
Oh, I think most of us like start off singing and then pick up dancing later, right? And
Yeah.
with dance moms and dance dads, like
Mhm.
did you come out of the womb then just dancing? The feet were kicking already and you were off and running.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't have much hair when I was little, so they would like tape bows to my head. And I also couldn't walk when I was, in class, so they would like hop me across the floor when I was a baby. I've pretty much been doing it since birth.
That's wild. Well, and I love that you haven't grown up to resent it. I think for a lot of us
No.
that have that, that you're still passionate about it. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's hard. I mean, even for me, I'm 39, so I've been playing music for a long time. There's been points in my life where nobody ever forced me to play music, but
Right.
I would be like, you know what, I'm tired of doing this. So
Yeah.
I love that you're so passionate about it. And now bringing the singing and the dancing together. So
Yes.
what kind of music? You're in Nashville, but that doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that you're country anymore.
No.
What kind of music do you write?
I do a lot of rock, funk, pop. I grew up writing everything, but I've sort of found my sound, or I'm starting to find a pretty consistent sound with where I'm at now in life, and that is funky, weird, be yourself, screw what everybody thinks, kind of, just kind of fun, upbeat music.
I just love your attitude. You remind me
Oh,
of
thanks.
me at that age.
Thank you.
Maybe still now. I want to say that I have a little bit of that I've always just done my own thing. If
Yeah.
I wasn't like that, I wouldn't have built this media, budging media empire that we're working on. The
Mhm.
Scene Projects have a radio station now. We're on
Yeah.
a TV channel on Roku and different things, and have dreams of, network television in our mind. But I'm also a songwriter myself. And that's what
Yeah.
made it easy when I was starting out to just be like, I'm passionate about not just my music, but of all original music and all types of original music. So it was really
Mhm.
hard in a world where you have to be so niche, right? You got to find your
Yeah.
niche and just stick to it and stay in your lane and do that one thing. And I was just
Mhm.
like, but I don't
Not me.
want to do that. I get
Yeah.
so bored easily.
Yeah. Not me.
I'm going to do it all.
Yes. Yes.
So what do you think of Nashville? Have you been there for a little while now?
I have. I moved here about a year ago. It's a very my lifestyle has always been very chaotic, and I'm always in a lot of cities. I love like big cities that's constantly going and going and going. Like I love that. I've found that Nashville is a slower city. It's very peaceful here. And I like that. I like it. It's very nice. It's really cool to be able to meet the kinds of like crazy people that I have met. I met my whole team here, and I love it here. It's awesome.
And I feel like Nashville was maybe traditionally considered the South, but I feel like it's a lot more Midwestern vibe because I
Yeah,
grew up in the Midwest. I'm from South Dakota. I live in a town of 1,000 people. I've spent most
nice.
of my life here, but I have family in Chicago, and then I've been all over the world. I've lived in Los Angeles and not a lot of time on the East Coast, but lived in some fairly, big cities, right? As big as it
Yeah.
gets. And while I appreciate that hustle and bustle and that energy that a city can bring, I feel like I
Mhm.
almost stand out more in Midwestern places because
Yeah.
there's not a lot of people like us in most of these places, Ellie.
No.
And even a place that's known for music, that there's not a lot of people like you in Nashville, not a lot of people with your spunk and energy out there that are putting it out. And a lot of your singer-songwriter types that are kind of laid back and playing the guitar and singing and not necessarily going out and, Paula Abduling it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Especially, I completely agree about what you said about it being more Midwestern. I'm from New Orleans, so I'm from like deep South. Yeah, we're all a little bit out of it. Like we're all over the place. I, but also going back to what you said about us, not necessarily fitting in here. I thought that that would be, a difficult thing going into this career, being so gung ho on like, I'm not changing for anybody. This is what I do. It actually worked out in my favor. I thought I would stick out like a sore thumb, like, no, they won't like me, but it ended up being the opposite. So yeah, I'm really grateful to Nashville for that, for sure.
And it's just the heartbeat of music right now, right? It
Yeah.
was a country town maybe 25 years ago, even,
Yeah.
but it is really the heartbeat of popular music in general now. I know all kinds of artists that are going there, and the studios that you have, they're amazing. The players that you have there are just phenomenal, and it's a great opportunity for young artists to go to really cut their teeth. Maybe you're not going to make what you would. I mean, we make really good money up here in the Northwest or in the Midwest rather, because there's not an overabundance of acts to go out and see all the time, right? There's not that
Yeah.
dilution of it. But I know a
Right.
lot of people that go down to Nashville and, have that Nashville recording artist name because they've
Mhm.
worked there before, but are able to come back and to use a little bit of that clout to get maybe a little bit bigger gigs out here in the
Mhm.
Dakotas or Minnesota and Iowa, and to make fairly good livings for themselves playing the Midwest in the summer and then going back to Nashville for the winter months, and being able to be around and be inspired by all of these creative people as well.
Right. No, completely agreed.
So New Orleans, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Do you miss
Homegrown.
your city?
All the time. They're crazy down there. I miss them terribly. They like I come way out of whack. I used to use that term for just like if like my friend was telling me about her boyfriend, I'd be like, yeah, that's way out of whack. I would usually use it as a derogatory term. But when I moved up here, I was like, I really am wacky. I come from a very wacky family. And so like I just remember being like, I could make this into something good. So a lot of my family loved way out of whack because I that was a term I used and then I used it to just describe how we are. But yeah, I really do. I miss home. I miss all the gumbo and family time. I'm extremely close with my family.
Yeah, that's definitely a Southern thing and a New Orleans thing.
Yeah.
I got to visit there one time on tour. I wasn't there for very long, a couple of days, but enough to soak in and just be like, this is different. And unfortunately, it was post Katrina, so Bywater
Oh.
wasn't what it used to be,
Mhm.
30 years ago, or 50 years ago. But these beautiful neighborhoods and these awesome houses, and just you could just feel it and smell it, and just the electricity in the air, and
Yeah.
the ghost tours around at night. Now I will admit that I had a few too many pina coladas on the street while I was
Right.
down there,
As
and
you
I don't
should.
remember as much as I should, but it was enough to know that I want to go back one day and
Yeah.
to visit again. So now that we're getting out and touring a little bit more, I have New Orleans circled on my list of places that we want to get to next March on our
Yeah.
spring tour.
Yeah, they for sure live in it's like their own little world down there. It's like how New York City is their own little world. I feel like Nashville's its own little world. New Orleans is for sure
Well, and
in their
just
own little
physically, I
bubble.
mean, with Lake Pontchartrain right there, I mean, it's just you're almost on
Mhm.
an island. It's not, you're
Yeah,
on a peninsula, I guess it would be, but you're out there, and it's easy to get cut off. That one road gets taken off, and nobody's going anywhere. You
yeah,
know,
quite
uh, you know,
literally.
it's just
Yeah.
it was wild driving in along the lake. We were coming from the Baton Rouge area, coming down, and just
Oh,
being like,
nice.
"Is this thing going to go for? We're on the lake. We're driving on the
Yeah,
lake. What are we doing?"
yeah. It's like never ending. Oh
This
yeah,
is
for
the
sure.
longest bridge I've ever seen in my life. We've been on it
Yeah,
for 40 miles. It
yeah.
was a little unnerving for someone who's spent most of their life landlocked in South Dakota, right? Like, what are we doing? But
It's
a beautiful
interesting.
city, and just so grateful. And it's out of whack in the best kind of ways.
Yeah, it's way out of whack. No pun intended.
Is that the name of your new album or what?
Well, I'm releasing singles right now. The first song I put out was Way Out of Whack. Uh, yes, that is the name of my first song
And how
that I
could it
have
not
out.
be, right?
Yeah, I remember they asked me what I wanted my first song to be, and I was like, it's gotta be Way Out of Whack. That song is just an introduction of who I am. I was like, I gotta have that introduction to the world first. Yeah.
Incredible. So are you signed to a label down there, or are you operating
I'm
independently?
not.
What's your work?
Currently, I'm independent. I am with a management company called Honeysuckle. Lyric Mullins and Megan Williams both own it, and they are also some of my best friends. So it's actually really cool. I'm working with all of my best friends and making crazy art and doing photo shoots and all this crazy stuff, and it's it's a lot of fun. But no, I'm not with a label yet.
I don't think you want to be with a label anyway. They just try to change you, Ellie.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. I agree. I agree.
And that's not where your superpower is. Your superpower is in being different and having that. Can you talk a little bit about, did you ever have a moment where you weren't kind of being managed by someone in your music career, or were you lucky enough to find people that really cared? Because my experience has always been managing myself, booking all my own gigs, making all my own
Mhm.
decisions, for better or for worse. So I'm just interested
Yeah.
in kind of your experience a little bit.
Yeah, I moved up here in January, and my mindset was like, this is your only option. You're gonna figure it out. I was putting in everything I had, and I was attending a school called Dark Horse. I don't know if you've heard of it. I was in their songwriting
Now,
course, and I was in class rehearsing one day, and this was about 2 months after I had been here. I was rehearsing for one of our performances, and this girl walked in, and she just like sat on the couch in the recording studio. I was just sitting there. I was like, I didn't know who this was, but apparently, like some people had started talking to her, so I was like, okay, people must know who she is. And then about like 20 minutes later, when we were done rehearsing our set, she walked up to me. She was like, "What do you say we go get ice cream?" And I was like, "Ice cream?" She's like, "What are you doing on your dinner break?" And I was like, So we ended up going, and that's how I met Lyric. That and then from there, it was just we've been together ever since.
that's
So yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
Yeah,
he just kind of
incredible
heard me.
stuff. We have a young friend of ours. Shout out to Belle Modine. She's going to Belmont, and
Nice.
knowing her school experience, she's going for production and a little bit of music business in there as well. But speaks so highly of the education system down there and these schools and being in the area. And it's the connections that you make, whether it's with
Yep.
your fellow students or some of the faculty maybe know somebody that invite them into those rooms and different things
Yep.
that's really an advantage. And I don't remember there being a lot of that when I was coming up. I mean, I'm almost 40,
Yeah.
Ellie, so it's been a long time since I ever thought about college or any of that stuff. And
Yeah.
music wasn't really, I didn't know what I wanted to be at 17, 18 years old, right? I was just kind of floating around. And it wasn't until, being out, it wasn't until like busking on the street that the guitar and music had value to me all of a sudden, where I was like, oh, maybe I should just do this, like if I'm worth $150 playing on the beach down in Venice, California, like I could
Mhm.
be worth something to a venue. So it's taken me
Yeah.
a long time to build up a music career where, for a young person like yourself to make those connections rather early on in your, in your stay in Nashville, I think that's awesome. And it really
Thank
speaks
you.
to the camaraderie that there is in the independent music scene now,
Mhm.
as opposed to maybe 20 or 30 years ago, when it was, you got to get signed and, you're only trying to impress A&R
Mhm.
reps, and they'll tell you who, to go play for and to do. And I just don't think that it wasn't a breeding ground for good music. And it
Yeah.
wasn't, it was a very dangerous world for a lot of people, especially young ladies like yourself.
Yep. It was just a breeding ground for machines,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. No, I agree. Mhm.
So what's coming up next? You're releasing some singles. Are you playing any shows around Nashville?
Hoping to do some shows in January. I have Way Out of Whack out. I have a song called This Town coming out in 2 days. It is a Halloween based song, not like the thriller kind. It's very it's a mix of like a lot of genres. I don't know if I could pinpoint it, but that's coming out. And then we're going to take a slight break for the holidays. And then when January comes, we're releasing a song called Jet Black. And that's more of my funk rock stuff. So hopefully by the time January comes around, we'll be doing some shows.
Incredible. We are catching you at the inception of your music career. This is
Yeah,
cool.
very beginning. Very beginning. My first song was released like a month ago, September 5th. So a month ago. A little
How
more.
awesome. Well, congratulations to you. And I look forward to maybe getting to connect with you when I'm down in Nashville
For
over the
sure.
weekend. I'll be down covering the Josie Music Awards. This
Oh,
episode
for
will be
sure.
out for 6 months, or not till like April, but um
Cool.
if we need to get it out earlier, Ellie, you let me know so we can tell people about all these songs you got coming out. But you might already be a huge star by this time. So I'm looking forward to living in the future. It is a crazy thing. And
Yeah.
I look forward to hopefully getting to connect with you in Nashville and meeting some of your people and seeing what
Yeah,
you
for
guys do
sure.
down there. It'll be my first time ever going to Nashville, and I'll be working at the Grand Ole Opry. So I'm pretty
Yeah, for
stoked
sure.
about that.
Yeah, come jam. It'll be fun.
Now that's what I'm talking about, because I am
Yeah.
not as country as most people around me are. I much more appreciate the funky blues and rock and roll.
Yes.
So we'll have to get together. Ellie, congratulations to you, and the best of luck in everything that you do. I will be
Thank you.
streaming the new song, and I'll throw some Thriller moves out while I'm listening to it just for sakes anyway.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome, Ellie. Well, thanks for your time today, and thanks for being part of the
Yes.
scene.
Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day.